Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our public school board meeting. Just a preview of the agenda. We always begin our meetings with an invocation, and today's meeting that will be performed for us by Pastor Hugh Lakey from the St. Cloud Presbyterian Church. Our Pledge of Allegiance, we will be led in our Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Mark Lockhart, our Director of Design and Construction. The national anthem shall be performed by Luella Carlos, a 12th grade student from PASS, an Arts Alive participant. We're good? We're good? You good to let me do it? Our mission statement by Anthony Cook, our coordinator of college and career counseling. Translation services by Dr. Lastenia Penaloza. She's the coordinator for multicultural services. And let's all silence our phones and rise for the invocation. Pastor?
Will you pray with me, please? Gracious God, we come tonight and we ask that you will bless this meeting, give strength and wisdom to those who sit on this board, that they will make wise decisions. Bless the children that have come here tonight. Bless the children that are in this community that are enriched by the decisions made through this board. Bless the wonderful parents and leaders of this community who support our youth. May all that we do this night, and all that we do every day, be according to your will. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Luella Carlos from PASS. Thank you very much.
Our mission statement reads, inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Lastenia Peñalosa, and I'm here to provide translation services. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Doctora Lastenia Peñalosa y estoy aquí para proveer servicios de traducción.
Thank you. Board, at this time, if I'm going to ask each one of us one at a time if you have any positive statements to make before we go into the agenda. Mr. Thacker?
None today.
Very well. Mr. Booth? I was wondering what that was for.
I've been saying I was going to do this for the 6 years I've been on the board, and I never have. But Friday's rodeo day. And I know there's been, every year it seems to be more and more discussion comes online, or I get more and more calls or more questions about what is rodeo day? Why did everybody in Orange County get school out today and we had to go to school? And I said, we get Friday off. That's better anyway. But we were just talking about this earlier today, and actually, George Washington is obviously older than Silver Spurs Rodeo, but President's Day was a national holiday after Osceola County had already started doing Rodeo Day, so just so you know that. But really, as our community changes, what Rodeo Day is all about is celebrating our heritage and celebrating how much of an impact volunteerism can have on a community, because that's what the Silver Spurs Rodeo Club is volunteers putting on a show, putting on a performance to then generate some funds to then put that back into the community. That's how it started all the way back in 1941, 42, when you had to buy a U.S. war bond during the war bond drive in World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. They put on a show to encourage local residents to buy a war bond, and you had to show that as your ticket. So that's the history of the show. I'm proud that I'm part of a board that keeps something very unique. You don't go around many places you find a rodeo day, but really it is celebrating Osceola's heritage and celebrating the really, really good folks that came together to do some really, really good things for over 75, almost 80 years now. So anyway, this is my go-to-town hat, not my everyday work hat. That's what we call it in the business. So it is my hat. I didn't borrow it. So I'm proud to wear it tonight as an Osceola County cowboy with a C, not a K, for me, because I'm a bulldog at heart. But anyway, I've said I was going to do this for ever since I've been on the board. Every year I forget, but I remembered this time, and this is my last time anyway to do it. So happy Rodeo Day on Friday, and I hope you get out and enjoy an Osceola County tradition.
All right, thanks, Mr. Booth. Mr. Whiteside?
Well said.
Okay. And I'm going to pass Dr. Pace.
Just wanted to first of all say thank you to our students who have been in the lobby and preparing snacks for our CTE month. It's super exciting to see them. We also have a lot of folks here to help us celebrate African American History Month. And then finally, we have some new administrators in the house, and I see lots of positive, smiling faces and supportive families. So we appreciate everybody's engagement with the great work of the board. Board members, I also wanted to just pass down, there's one for everybody, a sheet, and I'll share just a little bit about this. As you know, we've just recently voted to start the Canoe Creek School. That will be a district-managed school with an attendance zone on Canoe Creek Road. Mr. Noyes, the proud principal, is here, and he has been working closely with Melanie Stevanowitz, Mr. Allen, and the rest of the team to start thinking and planning curriculum, along with Mr. Clinch and our architectural group, and they have found a really cool concept that builds on our district focus on STEM, but takes it to a new level with an environmental focus. So this is just a little bit of the great work that Mr. Noyes and the team are planning to put into place at Canoe Creek with your support. The standards that are already appropriate and tied to each grade level are found on the back, and we'll continue to work and grow those programs, designing the building in order to make this come to life for students and families. And I'm super excited about what's going to represent for our community. So thank you.
Dr. Pace, I have to comment now. I love your mascot for this school. You know that Ohio State has a leaf? We have the whole planet here. I mean, that's creative, and I love it. I think the students will love having the earth as a mascot, if that's what it meant. It's pretty cool. Y'all
We'll talk about that at our next board meeting, Mr. Soto.
Yeah, we don't need to do animals or critters. Well, there's a lot of organizations that have leaves, colors, trees. Now we have the whole planet.
The Cardinal, right? Like Stanford.
Like Stanford has
That's
a
your
color.
big rival, though. You don't want to do
my
that.
rival. That's right. They have a color, and I think Ohio State has a seed.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, one comment.
All right, go ahead. Help me out here. Help me out here.
I'm trying to. I would say I'm excited about this and environmental focus. I can tell you that some of my interactions with the folks up at the College of Agriculture at the University of Florida, this is one of their focus points, is environmental sciences. They're not getting enough kids into those programs, so if we can certainly get some students prepared to move forward into environmental engineering, into the environmental sciences, that'd be fantastic, and I'm sure the University of Florida, Dr. Turner up there would love to see those students come forward.
Yeah, this is a school district that's not afraid of science. We embrace science.
Yes, we do.
So, good job. All right, so We have presentations coming up next. The first one will be,
Chairman, I believe our first presenter is still stuck in traffic, so if you want to move on.
sure, we'll come back to you. Then we'll go ahead and proclaim February 2020 as the Career Technical Education Month. Melanie Stefanowicz, our Director of Career Technical Education. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Chairman Soto, members of the board, Superintendent Pace. I have some people to help me because, I get really nervous when I do this stuff, so they're going to do the bulk of the work. But I do want to share with you that February is CTE month. You see me every year at this time. I bring some food, I bring some kids, I showcase our programs. Before I really begin, I want to thank Harmony High School, OTEC, and St. Cloud Elementary for showcasing our Project Lead the Way engineering programs, and OTEC especially for the food. CTE Month is a public awareness campaign that takes place every year at this time to celebrate the value of CTE and the achievements and accomplishments of our CTE students across the country. To honor our programs, the National Association of Career and Technical Education issued a proclamation observing February 2020 as Career and Technical Education Month. I have with me some very special students this afternoon from St. Cloud Elementary who are going to read the proclamation, which is no easy read if you ask me, which is why they're doing it, not me. But what makes them really special is over the weekend, they won the state competition for VEX Robotics, and they've learned that they will be going to Kentucky for Worlds. So that is no small feat. So I have with me Bella Marquez, Cheyenne Tai, Madison Wario, Riley Kinter, Cameron Gabriel, and as I said, they're going to Kentucky. I also want to make sure I acknowledge their coaches who are here: Lindsay Brooks, Amanda McRae, Savannah Tai, Mary Ellen Yaklick, Michael Hudson, and Ashley Sahab. So I'm going to turn the mic over. Yes. Before I turn the mic over, it is, coaching these teams is every bit as taxing as it can be to coach your fall sports or your spring sports, only we make them do it all year long. And I know these kids will likely be, are you guys competing this week as well? No? Well, that's a shame. Who's up first?
Well, they're already going to Worlds.
Worlds.
Whereas the month of February 2020 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education, and
whereas Career and Technical Education offers students the opportunity to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for career readiness, and
whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education, increase engagement and achievement, and
Career Technical Education provides students with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed, beneficial decisions about their academic coursework and pursue established programs of study and career pathways, and whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to addressing the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with available careers and critical growing CTE-related fields, including healthcare, energy, and manufacturing, cyber security, and informational technology, and
Career and Technical Education prepares students for these and other fulfilling careers by offering integrated programs of study that link secondary and post-secondary educations and lead to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials, and
whereas career and technical education programs ensure that employers have access to a qualified and thriving workforce, ensuring America has a strong and competitive economy, and
now therefore the School District of Osceola County proclaims February 2020 as Career and Technical Education Month.
So moved. Second. All right, so motion to approve the proclamation by Mr. Thacker, second by Mr. Booth. Board, any comments? Aside from the fact that was very fun.
Well, I do have some comments because I got to meet the kids out front and they let me drive the robot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I stacked a block up on top
How did he, did he know what he was doing?
No, I didn't. They taught me. I did not know what I was doing, but because I got taught by them, I did get the block on top for the other one.
All right.
No, great kids. Congratulations and
Well read.
good job.
Good job. All right. Anyone else? All right, so let's go ahead.
Thank you, board.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, hearing none opposed, the vote passes 5-0. Our next presentation is the Wells Fargo Electronic Payment Rebate. Mr. Todd Morley, he's the Senior Vice President for Wells Fargo Bank. We're ready.
All right. Well, thanks.
Hello, thank you for coming.
Yep. Again, Todd Morley with Wells Fargo Bank, and I'm here to present a check. It's a revenue share check to the Osceola County School Board for your card program. And Sarah, you can talk a little bit about your team.
As you guys know, we started the electronic payment initiative as part of our strategic plan a few years ago, hit the $500,000 mark last year, and we are happy to announce we are right there again at 557. Our accounts payable team, Cindy Stevens and the whole crew, you guys know they're just going gangbusters. They love doing this. It's kind of like a game in that department now. We love spending money and putting it on a credit card. So, so we're doing a great job. And I don't know if you guys want to come up and take a picture with the.
Indeed, you are.
Also on your agenda tonight, we do have an amendment to our existing contract with Wells Fargo. They have offered to increase our rebate percentage just slightly, so that is on your agenda for approval this evening.
Well done.
Next year.
Even that's an even bigger check.
Oh, I don't know. Better be
Okay.
Sarah, do you want to come down? Dr. Pace, do you want to come down for a picture?
I tried to open up.
I made it on time.
Let me in.
Here.
I tried to open up the Heritage Park thing, and the lock, it froze on my whole board. But I got to put it when I put this in. Hey, for the rest of my tricks, just prep one of these. That's not how hard. Okay, Jerry Jr. Well, my computer's one. I gotta get out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you. We appreciate your partnership.
That's awesome.
Yes, thank you very much.
I don't know how you get stuck in traffic around here at 5:30.
Coming from Orlando.
Yeah, that. You did pretty good to be here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, next presentation. We will do a proclamation for the National Black History Month. Mr. Anthony Cook, our coordinator of college and career counseling, will present. And good afternoon again, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
February is nationally designated as a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions of African Americans to our nation's culture and history. Black History Month is observed each year during the month of February, and today, as a district, we would like to recognize the significance of this month through a proclamation and the singing of the Black National Anthem. To present the proclamation, I would like to introduce Angela Gray and Christelle Bonzil from Liberty High School, who will read the proclamation for us.
Good afternoon and welcome, and thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Christelle Bonzil. My name is Angela Gray. And this is the proclamation. Black History Month, February 1st to February 29th, 2020. Whereas February has been nationally designated as a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions of African Americans to our nation's culture and history. Whereas it is important to understand the different origins, cultures, and heritage of all Americans. Whereas it is appropriate that all citizens reflect upon, cherish, and sustain the contributions that Black individuals, both past and present, have made to our nation. Maya Angelou, Lo Gossett Jr., Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall, and many more. Whereas such creative individuals have given of their very best so that way we may be sustained and inspired during hard times and encouraged to celebrate and rejoice during happy times. Now therefore, be it resolved that the School District of Osceola County, Florida, does hereby proclaim February as Black History Month.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve by Ms. Terry Castillo, a second by Mr. Tim Weisire. Board, before we take any vote, any discussion?
Great job, girls.
Thank you.
I have some brief comments, and that is, first of all, thank you very much for the reading of the proclamation. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
When every proclamation that we vote to approve and that we adopt, the board sees as very important. I want to just make some comments specifically to the Black History Month. I recognize so much contributions in our history, from African Americans and from so many different communities here, that our society today would not have been possible without these contributions. What we learn and what we do, how we move forward together as a society, there's just so much impact that folks like Ms. Angelou, Thurgood Marshall, who I'm very, very familiar with since I'm an attorney, the contributions that they made are impactful in ways that people cannot even notice. And so I am especially proud when I am able to approve a proclamation like this. It's just so deserved, and like I said, it's a good time to reflect and recognize wonderful people who have meant so much to this country and to this society. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. And I do speak for the board on all of this, because I know these folks very well.
Yes, you do.
We have a motion to approve. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the vote passes 5-0. Thank you.
Chairman Soto, before the girls leave the podium,
Yes.
if I might ask, they are a member of my senior focus group. They are wonderful, wonderful young ladies, and I'm sure they're going to be role models for others from their culture and from their school. They're great examples of Liberty Chargers. And where are you going to school?
Oh, I just got my acceptance for Rice. So
I
I'm going in
thought
August.
And I think you're still waiting, but you're in the mix as well for some of those great things, right?
Yes, of course.
All right, very good. Well, these are bright young ladies and certainly great role models for the future.
I went and I was excited and I cannot wait.
She might be a pretty amazing track star.
Oh yeah. Oh, I went on the athletic and academic scholarship. So. Yeah.
As a side note, Rice was one of the schools that we visited in our top 100 tours, and that is a top 100 school, so you're looking at one of our top 100 accepted students right there.
Right on.
Next up, I would like to introduce Dr. Stone from Osceola High School, who will bring her students with her, and they will be singing for us the Black National Anthem.
Good evening, Board. Thank you so much for the introduction. With all honor and respect given to our school board, our district chairperson, and our district superintendent and all leadership, today is a very special day. Go ahead and join us to the front. On February 12th, 1900, James Weldon Johnson wrote the lyrics to Lift Every Voice and Sing. While it is commonly referred to as the Black National Anthem, the song actually started as a poem, and the poem itself was later set to music by his brother, John Rosamond Johnson, in 1905. By 1919, the NAACP dubbed it the National Negro Hymn for its powerful message and for giving a voice to the struggles of the African Americans. Even today, it is influencing and it is undeniable. The poem itself has several inspiring stanzas that move the hearer to a closer understanding of the promised reward of victory following the struggle. For the sake of time today, our students will sing the first two verses for you and for your enjoyment. Please welcome with me our four students from the Performing Arts Department of Osceola High School, home of the Cowboys. We have Susanna Caso Lopez, Jeremy Garcia, Karina Roman, and Angel Villanova.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chasing rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat had our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, may where we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast.
Awesome job, guys.
If I may, sir, I forgot to acknowledge one of the most important people on our campus, our fearless leader, Dr. Nia Campbell. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey. That was just a. I love the performance. I have never heard the song before.
That was great.
So
Great job. Thank you for bringing
I'm,
that to us.
I'm glad that this was the first time. So, our next presentation, board, is the presentation of the master plan process for OHP.
Mr. Chairman, if you may.
Yes, sir.
I was looking through this. There's 47 slides here. Is this something that, no?
15 minutes, no more than.
Well, would we like to, can we push this back to the meeting? We have a lot of people that we're going to do presentations. We usually clear the room. All right, can we, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we move this back until maybe right after public comment or something like that.
Maybe after appointment transfers or what?
Yeah, sure, fine.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Do we have where's the appointment interest?
That's coming right after.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Superintendent?
Thank you, Chairman Soto, and thank you for that adjustment, Mr. Booth. I'm sure some of those in our audience are appreciative of that. Ms. Crawford, if you would come to the podium,
Kids were getting
please.
restless already, I saw it.
Board members, it is my pleasure and honor tonight to recommend Miss Melanie Crawford to become the assistant principal at St. Cloud Elementary School, joining the team of Dr. Flowers.
Good, they didn't even know that.
This will have an effective date of tomorrow.
Wow.
Because as we know, Miss Derricks took a position in professional development and is getting ready to have a baby, and Dr. Flowers has been kind of manning the troop with some good friends, but is ready for some support. Ms. Crawford has been a teacher at Cypress Elementary School, Dean of Students at Dinjon Middle, and currently serves as the Great Dean of Students at Narcoossee Middle. She received her bachelor's degree in elementary and special education from Syracuse University, a master's degree in special education from Columbia University, and an administrative certificate from Johns Hopkins University, and I am confident in recommending this approval.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Booth, second by Mr. Thacker. Board, any discussion? Hearing none, we take a vote. All those in favor to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Hearing no. Vote passes.
Board member.
Vote passes 6-0.
6-0, yeah.
Congratulations.
I'd just like to say before you talk, it is not very often that we appoint someone to a school and they have a whole group of teachers and students from that school sitting right behind them. So you should.
Yes.
That's
Thank
exciting.
you. Yes. Dr. Pace, board members, I want to thank you for this opportunity, for this honor. I am leaving a great group of people at Narcoossee Middle School. I know Mr. Whedon, and Vicki there. Oh, Jessica made it. Okay. Yes, I'm leaving some great people, but I'm pleased that I'm not going to join another great group of people at St. Cloud Elementary School. I am so excited to work with Principal Flowers and the rest of St. Cloud Elementary School family, we are going to continue to do great things. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to say, for the record, Dr. Pace, if we can continue to find people with resumes that say Syracuse, Columbia, and Johns Hopkins, let's get them and let's move them up.
How lucky are we?
I also then would like to invite Miss Danya Perlaza to the podium. Board members, it is my pleasure tonight to recommend Ms. Perlaza to become the new assistant principal at Denjon Middle School with an effective date of June the 1st. It'll be for our upcoming school year. During her career, she's been a teacher and math science coach at Discovery Intermediate, a teacher at Parkway Middle, the math coach at Liberty High, and currently serves as the math resource teacher in middle school curriculum for the Osceola School District. She received her bachelor's degree in mathematics from Hunter College, a master's degree in education and special education from Toro College, and an education specialist degree in leadership and administration from Walden University. Ms. Perlaza.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Tim Weissayer, second by Ricky Booth. Board, any discussion before we take a vote? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the vote passes 5-0. Congratulations, ma'am.
Great job.
Welcome to the Dragon family.
Dr. Pace, school board members, Dr. Ruspice, Mr. Allen, Dr. Reinhardt, Mr. Hoyle, and respected members of our community. Today, I want to express how grateful I am for the opportunity to be the next proud assistant principal of Denjon Middle School. This is my greatest accomplishment as I fulfill the American dream. I would like to extend a sincere thank you to all my mentors who provided me with a lot of guidance and support. Mr. Allen, Ms. Clayton, Ms. Garcia, Ms. Cruz, Mr. Pricer, and Ms. Luciano, who's not longer here anymore, and many others that have been part of my journey. Special thanks to my amazing middle school team, K-12 math team, my partner, Leah Boy. We have become a family. Finally, I would like to thank God, my husband, my family, and my friends for always believing in me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, I will share with you again and the community that this week we had the opportunity to interview 5 assistant principal candidates for 2 positions, and all 5 are ready to lead in their own respective fields when the right fit comes along. So I'm just very, very proud of the work that our team has done to build leadership. And now, also preparing for the upcoming school year, I'd like to invite Ms. Yara de la Fuentes to the podium. Board members, as you know, a few weeks ago, we recommended Ms. McMahon to take over the position at Celebration K-8 once Ms. Mannion retires on June 1st. Ms. Yada, who currently serves as the principal at Thacker Avenue Elementary School for International Studies, reached out and said she'd like to explore a new opportunity, and I'm pleased tonight to recommend her to become the new principal at Boggy Creek Elementary School on June the 1st.
So moved.
Second.
A motion to approve by Mr. Booth, second by Ms. Castillo. On board, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor to approve, please state aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you. I've been part of Thacker Avenue Elementary School for International Studies for quite a bit now, and I've been extremely blessed to work with such amazing, talented educators. I have really, Thacker Elementary will forever be in my heart. I'm looking forward to the new opportunity at Boggy Creek Elementary School, and thank you, Dr. Pace, board, and Dr. Vespis for your support.
Excellent.
Yeah, congratulations. Dr. Pace just making more work for herself.
I'm fixing to fill those holes too. Just relax.
All right.
Ms. Shanuski, if you could come to the podium, please. Board members, as Tracy is approaching the podium, I will remind you of the great job that she's done as principal at Lakeview Elementary School. She's served there for a number of years, and she also had reached out and said she was interested in exploring a new opportunity. And I am pleased and proud to recommend her to become the principal at Thacker Avenue Elementary School for International Studies on June the 1st.
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Thacker, second by Mr. Weissayer. Board, is there any discussion?
Mr. Thacker better have made that motion.
I did.
He did. I heard it. Sometimes if I hear two, I just get to pick. All right, so let's take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Not hearing any opposed, vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. You were making me nervous there for a minute.
I'm extremely excited to join the Thacker family. I know great things happen there, and there's been wonderful leadership over the past. Having that been the last place I taught in the classroom, it's a full circle moment for me to return to that school and continue the work that they're doing and the greatness that they've started. It's also bittersweet to leave Lakeview. It's an amazing place and a very special place in my heart for all of those staff, family, and community. I'm very excited to serve the population here in Osceola County in any way possible. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. And it is good to know that you stayed in District 4.
And finally, board, because as you know, this process is just a big old domino game. Mr. Soto's favorite. If I could invite Miss Melanie Cleveland to the podium. Board members, Dr. Melanie Cleveland currently serves as the assistant principal at Lakeview Elementary. She has been a teacher and reading coach in Hillsborough County Public Schools, the coordinator for secondary curriculum and instruction with the Osceola School District, supervisor for secondary reading for Hillsborough, senior administrator for curriculum and instruction, assistant principal at Heritage High and Brevard Public Schools, Osceola High School, and then Lakeview Elementary School. So we're glad she found her way back home to Osceola, where I know she's committed to stay. She received her bachelor's degree in liberal arts from Pfeiffer University, a master's degree in English education from the University of South Florida, and her doctorate in administrator leadership and teaching and learning from Walden University. And I am confident that Dr. Cleveland is the right person to become the principal at Lakeview Elementary School on June the 1st.
So moved.
All right, so motion to approve by Ms. Castillo, second by Mr. Thacker. Any discussion? Okay, I do. So dominoes is a good activity for elementary school children. It's not hard. Even I can play it. And it teaches basic, numbers and things like that and logic. But in any case, just a little tip. Any other discussion? None? All right, so we take a vote. All those in favor to approve, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chairman Soto, members of the board, Dr. Pace, for having faith in me and moving me forward in this amazing opportunity. Dr. Respis for your support, and Dr. Reinhardt and Mr. Allen, because all of you have contributed to who I become as a leader. They've prepared me well. I hope to be able to follow in the steps of my wonderful principal, Tracy Shanowski, who has just been completely supportive and a great leader to show me the way. And my husband, Tom, who's been really encouraging and patient for 38 years. So thank you all. I am here, and I love Osceola County, and I'm excited for this opportunity to lead a school. Thank you so much.
That's all.
Before we dismiss, Leah, I wanted you to know I invited all these people here to celebrate your birthday today. So happy birthday to you, Leah. We won't sing. I'm just saying happy birthday.
I don't know. We got some singers right over here.
Board, with your permission, I would invite folks at this time, if they came here for a presentation or to support one of our appointees, that this is a good time that you can. You don't want to stick around for the rest of our business. Go ahead and enjoy your afternoon. I'll take a little bit break. I'll break for 2 minutes.
I'd like to. Well, I didn't know that part.
Who's that? Did you have fun last night? Oh, Mario was so fun. Yeah, I love Mario. All right. Yeah, I got it. Don't disappear. One of the charter schools, the one across the street, Heritage Park, the baseball thing, sports, whatever. God, don't tell me we have presentation on our stuff too. Okay. You can tell how carefully I paid attention. I did look at that, but I forgot they were going to like say it because we don't see anything. God. Yes, they're eagles.
It's better than an eagle. Because it's no, the whole thing is cool, man. It's a seed. It's a seed. It's a seed.
The only Buckeyes I like are
This is the whole
peanut
planet.
butter
This is
covered
better.
chocolate.
Yes. All right. So let us proceed with our next presentation. Folks from OHP. Ms. Carrie Goodwin. Mister.
Carrie Godwin.
You know, Carrie is one of those.
Godwin. There's good ones running around too. This is Godwin.
All right.
You live in Osceola County. You got to know these things, Bill.
Thank you. I'm on behalf of the County Commission and the County Managers. I appreciate this time to come before you. We worked with Dr. Pace for this limited time of only 15 minutes. You are correct. The slideshow in front of you is about a 40-minute slideshow with about 20 minutes of questions and answers. So at some other time, if you want a fuller presentation, we'll be glad to do that. So I'm going to run through this real fast. I'm Carrie Godwin, Planning and Design Director and Project Manager for the Master Plan for Osceola Heritage Park. Rob Larson, who's with ASM and Global, is here tonight, who manages the facilities. So there's a lot of goals outlined that I won't go into, and I'll try to talk to you about the plans themselves. So number one, this is an aerial photograph. It shows, number one, Silver Spurs Arena, the event center, the KVLS next door, extension services next door, the SLAM charter school at its location next to the baseball field, and then Orlando Soccer Training Center is there as highlighted. And then, of course, we cross the street, Johnson University. We've already met with them last week. Tonight we're meeting with you. Gateway High is there, and then Florida Cattlemen's Association. One of the things I wanted to show you is the county's been working for the last 3 to 5 years to pick up all the out parcels along within that perimeter. And so primarily we've been picking up the vacant parcels or occupied parcels along Fortune Road. There's still about 3 parcels that are still remaining, but we have agreements with most of those when they're ready to sell that we will take it. Cattlemen's Association is an out parcel. It will not be a part of the Heritage Park. So let me go back to the aerial if I could. So the main thing that we're trying to address is, first of all, is access to the site. We have the 3 to 5 sites that 3 to 5 access points now that become overburdened, as you well know, during special events, especially if it's the multi-day large events. So one of the things we want to look at is extending turn lanes, both left turn and right turn lanes, and have them double lanes for all of the facilities' entrance points. The other thing we'll be looking at is right now in the middle of the site is a median cut with a gate that is used for setup. We may turn that into a full event. That will be the gateway into the park if we can work that out with Florida DOT, who controls East 192. And then it should be sufficient distance between Bellbeck and Fortune Road to have that as a signalized intersection. So it would be the 3 signalized intersections. The other thing we're working with FDOT is some of those access management signs. You see it on Osceola Parkway right before you go on the turnpike. That warns you if there's a traffic north or southbound. The district has agreed that we can place some of those about half a mile on each side of Bellbeck and Fortune Road. And with that, we can give a notice. We can't advertise, but we can say, use Fortune Road, Gate 3, or use Bill Beck Boulevard, Gate 1, and direct the traffic, and especially for the first-time visitors coming in. Internal to the site is, as you can see, the roads kind of crisscross and don't tie together. One of the things we want to accomplish is get a loop road around the major facilities in the middle of the site, and with that, we'll be reworking the utilities. The utilities that are there now have been added as each building was added, and so there wasn't an overall plan to connect or for future development. And so that's what we'll be addressing. One of the big things we'll be able to do then is our desire is that if we have to close down the entrances for certain of the events, you could still get into the site and get around without having to meander all the way around to one entrance on the backside or something like that. So that's our overall goal, to accomplish that. The other thing is drainage. If you've been there, you know there are some low areas that flood, especially in a rain event, doing a major event, and it becomes a real problem. So with that, we will be addressing the stormwater management system and trying to upgrade that to get that done. And then with that, we will be doing very wide sidewalks, so for large crowd control. So we'll have a 12 to 20 foot wide sidewalk around that loop road, so no matter where you have parked or where you're staying, you'll be able to access that. And then I'm going to flip ahead to what the county thought was great news, and you probably have seen something about it, but we have selected a hotel developer. And so the things, we're in negotiations with them now. What they're proposing is that, and I'm on slide 24 if you want to look at it. The first two hotels would be at Bill Beck and US 192. The existing CVB building would be bulldozed, and there'd be two moderate business hotels that would have limited services but have breakfast, buffet, and those kind of things. And they would have a shared pool amenity. They would each have about 150 rooms each, so that would be 300 rooms on that corner. The other major hotel would be on the Fortune Road, and that would be a conference center up to 50,000 square feet and a full amenitized with restaurants and bars, and that would be up to 250 rooms and add up to another 150 rooms on the second phase. And then across the street in Neo City would be a boutique hotel similar to Celebration that would be around 125 rooms. Everything within OHP is to be leased. It's not going to be sold, unlike Neo City, which the county is looking to sell parcels. We are working with the developer now, and once we come to an agreement, he says the first hotel will be open within 24 months. And am I at my time now? I think that's about it. I was just going to run to the last slide, and just so you know, one of the things on here is all the roadway information that is happening in this area that will affect you, so that's really worth looking at. And then the overall schedule will be another 12 months. We hope to finish it by first quarter 2021. We'll have stages of consultant work completed that, if you would like, we can come back and give you updates. So we have 3 more updates to provide if you're interested. And I'd be glad to come for a workshop or any other setting if you'd like to go over in more detail. Thank you for your time.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Godwin. I see that we do have discussion. Mr. Booth.
No, thank you for coming. I'd heard a lot about this, and I'm
Yes.
very excited to see it. As somebody that works with organizations that put on events out there, this is very exciting. Also a member of the Cattlemen's Association. I know they're excited, so they can do a lot of conferences right behind their state office building. So everybody's excited about this. I guess from the school district side on why you're here is because we'll have a major impact on what goes on in this building and around this building here. So I'm sure you guys are thinking about that, Dr. Pace and your team, and what we're going to do here, especially not just during construction time, but then beyond that, after that. So.
And then one of the things I wanted to bring up, I failed to mention it, is we are looking at roadway connection, and one of the things on the county's future transportation plan, there was a Bill Beck spur that comes off either through here or the admin part or Gateway to cross over the turnpike and tie into Simpson Road. We think a more feasible routing is to take it straight across the southern border of Gateway High School and tie Bill Beck to Simpson Road. We have not met yet with our transportation department to figure out the funding and all that. But if that's something that you would support, you don't have to give us an answer tonight, but would be glad to try to fast track that. That way your buses serving this area would not have to go out on US 192. They could take the shortcut down the Bill Beck South extension and avoid East 192 totally.
What I would ask, Mr. Chairman Soto, if appropriate, is just that we get some sense of what that might look like and where that might go pretty
Absolutely.
quickly, because we are currently in major planning for a renovation at Gateway High School.
And we've mentioned it to your staff, but I wanted to make sure your board was aware in case we needed to fast track that. I'm meeting with our transportation department, I think, next week, to try to address this road and another road.
Mr. Weisler.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the presentation and for your work on this. Just so I understand, are you saying that all the elements that you've outlined would be completed by 2021, first quarter, as far as the interior loop, the access?
No, that would be the planning for it
That's
all.
what I thought. That's
And
what
with that, it's
clarified.
the planning and preliminary engineering and hopefully cost estimates,
Okay.
so that we can start budgeting the improvements.
That's what I anticipated. So what do you see the timeline being for these elements coming online? Best case scenario.
I mean, hopefully we would be able to start some of them within 3 years, if possible. I mean, nothing is in our capital improvements budget yet because we haven't done the budgeting, so we have to finish that, and then we can start doing it. We are advancing some landscape around the perimeter along Bill Beck and putting in a trail along there. So we're trying to do it in bits and pieces with our existing funds, and then once we complete the study, we can outline a full capital improvements plan for that.
Got it. Very well. And then regarding the first hotel, which I believe you said would be on the corner of 192 and Bill Beck,
Yes, sir.
is that there would go to start moving dirt immediately and be done in 24 months? Is that after you complete the study and the timeline?
No, they're not waiting for the study to complete as soon as we come to a full agreement. So right now, we're in their due diligence phase, so we gave them a free look at the site while we work on the agreements between the two of us.
Okay.
And then once that agreement is signed, they say 24 months or less for the first hotel.
So theoretically, within the next 3 years, it's completed, maybe within 2.5 or so.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Board, anything further? No? All right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that concludes the presentations in our board agenda. And at this time, I ask, is there any modifications?
Public comment.
Yes, public comments. We do have 4 public comments.
They've been patiently waiting,
They have been, and they're, I think everyone wants to speak about the same thing, which are the e-cigarettes. I don't know if this is specific order.
Yeah, that's however you read.
All right, so we'll begin with Rachel. You may come as a group. It'll be Rachel,
Did you bring them?
Canlis, Brandon, and Travalis.
No, I think they got it.
She wants to sit up here in the big chair.
Hey,
Thank you.
welcome. Hi. All right.
Good evening. My name is Chevelis Woodard. I am a student at Osceola High School. Today I'm here with my peers from SWAT. SWAT is Students Working Against Tobacco. We're a group of youth who are working towards a tobacco-free future. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to speak to you all today about an issue that is involved in our high schools, which is vaping. So many youth in Osceola County are using Juuls, Puffs, and other e-cigarettes. These products target towards youth and kids are under the misconception that just water vapor that they are smoking is not harmful to their health. When in reality, that's not true. We know that there are harmful cancer-causing substances that have negative health consequences, and in some cases threatening. They are also contain high amounts of nicotine because teen brains are still developing. Exposure to nicotine can disrupt that brain development, and addiction sets in faster. I just want to say that also Osceola County has been hitting hard in youth e-cigarette epidemic recently. County commissioners are beginning to prepare a file lawsuit against Jules. Like many other counties, so they are aware there is an issue. It is an issue that needs to be addressed within Osceola County and be educated of the dangers of e-cigarettes vaping. Now I want Matthew Diaz to take over for federal law.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
My name is Matthew. Current federal law has raised the age to 21 and has banned flavors. And that's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough because it still allows the sale of flavored single-use disposable e-cigarettes like puff bars and over 15,000 flavored liquids and the pot systems. For example, smock. To put the e-liquid in, youth like me are consistently exposed to these products and can access them very easily. Most importantly, this club, we want to ensure we are protecting our generation and the next generation to be tobacco-free. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carielis. I also attend Osceola High School. I am tired of seeing my peers being tricked into using these tobacco products and becoming addicted to nicotine and then growing addiction into other things. It starts off as nicotine from the vaping and it just continues to grow from there. I'm tired of having to walk through the halls and classrooms, having to breathe in the secondhand smoke from kids. Kids would skip class and go to the bathroom and stuff just to go and vape. It shouldn't be something that we have in our schools. I get tired of seeing teachers use tobacco as well or vaping after school. It's still something that affects us. It's around school properties. We still get the secondhand smoke from it as well. It does not set a very good example at all. I also don't think it's fair that we are all told to follow all school rules, but when it comes to tobacco or e-cigarette products used on campus, that rule is banned for certain people. It should apply to everybody. I think prevention is important and that the youth in Osceola County should be educated on the dangers of tobacco and e-cigarettes, as well as vaping. All teachers, staff, and administration should also be held to these standards that students are of no vaping because they are the ones setting the example for us. It is important to make informed decisions about things that affect not only your health, but the health of others around you. Now I'm going to let Rachel take over.
Good evening, my name is Rachel. Students Working Against Tobacco, or SWAT, is a club in which students are able to come together and fight the use of tobacco products and electronic nicotine delivery system and bring awareness to others. But it's also a club where we're able to create a safe space. As of late, e-cigarettes have become a grand problem as youth are being targeted and greatly affected. With that being said, it's easy to understand how peer pressure would become an added factor. But SWAT creates a safe space away from all of that as students who share the same thoughts against these products are able to come together, encourage others, advocate for the subject, and raise awareness about the dangers to those who are uninformed. There's been a rise in the amount of students who use e-cigarettes in middle and high schools. For those reasons, I think it's incredibly important to have SWAT in not just every high school, but also every single middle school in Osceola County. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Antonio, and I want to talk about how Juuls are a serious problem in our community, and SWAT is a great group, and it talks about the effects and how Juuls it's not a game, and it's just an alternative to cigarettes, and it's just bad. But even though it's a battle, I feel like we've accomplished a lot. Dr. Campbell, the principal at Osceola High School, has helped us and has collaborated with us to have events such as Not Lab Rat Day, where we came together and we set up a booth and we really acknowledged and showed students the effects and the negative effects and the damage that Juuls and cigarettes can do. And I just feel like it's something good for the community. I'd like to pass it over to Brandon.
Hello, my name is Brandon. I also attend Osceola High School. We also want to talk about future events we have for SWAT, which is Tobacco Takedown, National Day of Attack, in which we will have users quit for a day in hopes that they will end smoking for the rest of their lives, because in hopes that this happens, most students and our peers and our family will hopefully quit and end the constant smoking that goes on all around us in our communities and our county. Thank you.
Okay, we recently just came back from Tallahassee. Annually, we take a trip down there where we talk to senators, legislators, and representatives over vaping regulations, also what we do county-wise. So I feel like what we just did today, over these 2 days, is a huge accomplishment over statewide, and we're contributing to the community and actually to our school too. So let's put that out there.
All right. Okay, so don't go away.
Don't go away.
We have questions.
We have questions, comments, discussion. I'm going to start with Mr. Booth in order.
Well, this is very apropos. So thank you very much, because I just had this discussion with Dr. Pace last week. I happen to know one of the principals of a high school up in Seminole County, and was just talking to him the other night, and he was talking about that Seminole County Sheriff's Department now has decided to issue civil citations within the schools. So I reached out to a very high-ranking official at the Sheriff's Department, quite possibly the highest, and had a conversation with him, and he seemed very eager to open up the dialogue and have a conversation. And I was actually had that on my list to add to the agenda tonight, so board, you'll be happy to know I can pull that now. I don't have to worry about it, because I think Dr. Pace reminded me, and so did Sheriff Gibson, that this is how they got rid of smoking 20, 30 years ago, was to actually start. Was it that long? I bet it was. They started issuing the civil citations so that the parents had to go down to the courthouse and pay a fine, and that really got rid of the smoking. So you guys did a great job. She watched what I did last meeting, and she knew what to do. You bring the people here, and you speak out. So good job with that. Look at you, you're learning, quick learner. I will say this one more thing, too, just to be very open and very honest. I've struggled with tobacco use for a long time in my life. I've won many battles. I haven't won the war yet. So I know how difficult it is if you ever get started. So what you guys are doing is awesome, because once you get started, it is extremely, extremely hard to win that war. So thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Appreciate it. And just for the record, I would be very in favor of seeing us issue the civil citations and working with our Sheriff's Department to get that done.
Is it okay if I add on to that?
Ask the chairman.
It's okay if I add on to that?
Sure.
Well, we recently just talked about that as a group collaboratively talking about civil citations, such as like if they're a senior in high school and they're planning on going to like certain things such as grad night incentives, prom and homecoming, and give them that citation in which they have to do work detail or go to like teen court, something like that. They have to pay off in order to redeem that back.
I think those are all great ideas.
I kind of messed around with the buttons. I believe Ms. Castillo was next, though.
Yes, thank you. I'm a sucker for having young activists come to speak to a board respectfully, as some of you may know. So I am exceptionally honored to have you with us today. Thank you so much for being eloquent, well-versed in your topic, and respectful. I've had this conversation with my daughter. She goes to OXA, and she is concerned about some of her friends who think that, smoking, do you call it smoking Juul is acceptable, that it's cool, it has the yummy flavor, so it doesn't seem to be dangerous, but I know how dangerous it is. I know that we have in our own board rules, we have embedded that we are against it as well, because we want to protect you and our teachers. So I am very excited that you guys are here building awareness and accountability. I like the accountability part more than anything, because you can build awareness, but by you guys being here, you're also holding yourselves, your peers, your teachers, and us accountable for how we tackle this epidemic, quite frankly. So if there's anything I can do as your representative for District 1, please reach out to me, and I'm very proud of you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Mr. Weisshire next.
So first I'll start by saying leadership isn't about having a title or sitting at this desk. Leadership is about understanding when you have to speak up and do the right thing, and helping others find the right pathway for themselves through your willingness to serve and lead others. You guys are leaders, is my point, and the work that you're doing is incredibly important. I want you to know, though, as well, as Ms. Castillo said, we have a board policy already. The Florida School Boards Association, which we're all a part of, is working on this as well across the state of Florida. And I just came back from Washington, D.C., where the National School Boards Association is also having conversations around not only the health impact, but the financial impact that this is having on school districts and communities across the United States. So I share that with you so that you know you're not alone in this conversation and in the work. I'm sure this board will continue to partner with and support you where possible, but we will also make sure that we use our voice in our respective places to continue the conversation about the dangerous impacts that this has on students and families. So congratulations to you guys for who you are and what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Thacker?
Lastly, I'll wrap it up because I said a lot of what I was going to say, but I am a graduate of Osceola High School, and I want you to know that your presentation here today, I'm extremely proud of your presentation, and I am, as a graduate of Osceola High School and a resident of this town, I am very proud to have had you in Tallahassee representing us. I feel very good with individuals like you being up there and addressing our senators and our representatives. And in fact, I feel that you're probably far more effective than the five of us up here when we go. So thank you very much for doing that. Thank you for the way you present yourselves. Thank you for your thoughtfulness in this presentation. And I'm very, very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Hey, before you go, let me just piggyback. I think Ms. Castillo said something that was, Mr. Thacker just did as well, but it's so important. You guys didn't just come up here to speak about your emotion and your feeling. You did your research. You understood the subject. There's still a lot more to learn, correct? You were kind. You were respectful. You were prepared. You were articulate. I think Ms. Castillo did a great job of outlining how important that really is. We live in a time where people think that just getting up and speaking or being loud or being obnoxious or something like that is how you get things done. You guys are the model, as she said, of how to get things done, and we are proud of you. So congratulations.
The word that comes to mind is credible.
I would like to give an opportunity to Ms. Williams to also make a comment.
Yes, of course. Thank you. So I just want to say I'm proud of you guys for speaking, but also I did have something to say, but you guys kind of addressed it already. So really, okay, well, I'm really looking forward to not only myself, but the group at Osceola High School, also our SWAT clubs in Oxa and St. Cloud, to work with you guys to make sure that the issue is addressed and that our youth get the equal opportunity to a healthy, free tobacco future. And that's all I really wanted to say. I'm interested in working with you guys in the future to really make sure this gets implemented and the awareness is out there also addressing the issue. And again, I'm so proud of you guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I have one thing, Mr. Chairman? Just not to the group, but just to Dr. Pace. I mean, just to go on, if it's okay with the board, if that we do.
Well, this looks like a policy. This looks like a policy discussion, sort of. So go.
Yeah, just maybe starting to understand working with our safety and security team, because I know they're much more than the fashion police. I got it in. There you go. I know they're much more than that. Maybe to open the dialogue with our sheriff's department and with our safety and security team to see what a civil citation, issuing civil citations would look like. And again, I somebody's making fun of me. I would appreciate to see what that looks like.
And if we have consensus from the board, I'd be happy to do that, sir.
Yeah,
absolutely.
My consensus is they're not supposed to be doing this.
All right. So,
but it's yeah.
And why is it?
I always like to bring a little bit of critical thinking into this.
I'm done.
Are you saying none of us think?
No. No.
He was saying I don't think, so he had to jump in.
No. It's just that with things of this nature, especially like what we have here, it's a public health issue. What you really also want to understand is what are the causes. I mean, we do speak a lot, and it's really easy to go ahead and say, okay, when this happened, this is what we're going to do. It's really almost better to try to go ahead and focus on preventing it from happening in the first place. And so, yeah, citations and all of those things, those are remedial efforts. But preventative efforts have shown, time and time again, especially when it comes to public health issues, to be very effective. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to have a discussion, I would definitely want to go ahead and look at this policy with not just, what kind of, punishment or negative reinforcement we can adopt as a policy, but to also talk about, what are the causes of why this is happening, what we can do in order to go ahead and influence, young people to not even, do any of these, harmful effects to their own health. And finally, there's a lot of ways to really modify behavior besides just, a citation, and this is what I meant by the critical thinking, is let's go farther than just that. Let's not sell so short.
I'm fine with that.
And look at how principals and teachers and staff says, hey, you know what, we could have these other type of sanctions that can be, just progressive and turn to just, modify behavior that way. That's all. Thank you for your time, board, on that.
Good deal.
So, what's next?
Agenda
Yes.
modification.
Yeah, we're all together.
yeah.
Thank you very much. I think that was a excellent discussion, and I think that we're going to
Thank
go
you.
ahead and hopefully follow through with something that can work for all of our school districts, staff and students.
I'll be happy to bring back some information from the board, or for the
you.
board.
Thank you. Agenda modifications. I'll go start with District 1.
I'm actually going to pull my agenda modification item.
Oh, okay.
Or I don't have any, is what I should say. I did, actually, but I don't anymore.
All right, Mr. Thacker? I'm fine. District 4. I have something for comments, and I just want to talk about I just want to share with staff and students a couple of apps that I came across that I thought that was interesting and educational. It'll be brief.
So that's going to be in board member comments?
Yeah, board member comments.
Okay.
So those are my modifications. I'm
Okay,
done.
I would like to add sports, transportation. I don't have to add civil citations for vaping because we just talked about that, but I'd like to add sports, transportation and under board member comments is fine.
Very well.
None.
None. Dr. Pace.
Yes, sir. I would like the board's permission to amend item 13.01. This is our charter school renewal recommendations. St. Cloud Preparatory Academy has requested that we postpone consideration of their renewal at this time, and I will be bringing that back to you probably in 2 weeks. Everything else is good to go.
Moving that.
Just amending the item to remove St. Cloud Prep. Everybody else is good to go as recommended.
Okay.
I'll move for approval of the agenda with the comments being added and the removal of St. Cloud Prep under 13.01 and the approval of the consent items.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve by Mr.
Second.
Thacker and a second by Mr. Booth. Board, any further discussion, comments, or questions on this? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. And since that was the consent, that moves us all the way to the third page. 12 to number 12, information agenda items. The first that we have is with Mr. Pengelly with PFM. Investment performance review for the quarter ending December 31st, 2019. Welcome, sir.
Okay, good evening, Board, Superintendent, thank you. So I'll be covering the fourth quarter for 2019, which is the period ended 12/31/2019. It'll be a short presentation because it was another good quarter. So click through here. So the return for the quarter was 0.55%, which outperformed the benchmark by 4 basis points. And again, that's a quarterly number, so multiply it by 4 to think of it on an annual basis. If you look back over the past year, the school district continues to benefit from declining interest rates, which help your current values, but doesn't really help us in the sort of forward-looking. So the return for the past year, calendar year, was 3.83%, outperformed the benchmark, which was 3.55%. So again, rates coming down increases the value of what you have in your portfolio, which is contributing to the good performance. We continue to be very well diversified. We are not making any substantial changes. Going back to the end of 2018, we started making changes. We moved the duration to be neutral to the benchmark. Sort of created a neutral positioning for the portfolio for all of 2019. We're sort of keeping that in now. As we see in the second here, we go through the market slides. Really, the outlook is that not much is going to happen between now and the election, as the market sort of weighs, what the world is going to look like afterwards, and it'll have different opinions from day to day. Right now, a lot of the major news over the past couple of years is sort of behind us. We had Brexit was weighing heavily on the minds of the market. What is it going to mean when the UK leaves the EU? Well, that's sort of come and gone. So we don't have that to worry about. There was concern about manufacturing in China, which had sort of, gone into the background, and then the COVID-19 virus scare started, which is having a big impact on rates, but actually not as big as you might think. I think people are looking back to the experience of swine flu, SARS, and there's kind of a little bit of a wait and see around that. We might see, depending on the pace of the virus and new infections over the next couple months or so, we might see more reaction to it. But at this point, the market hasn't had a major move on it, at least in the short-term bond market. Here in the U.S., economy continues to sort of grow. It's not outstanding growth. In 2019, the annual growth was in the 2 to 2.5% range, which is the same thing we've seen on average since the credit crisis. So it's not gangbusters, but is still positive growth. If you look at the employment markets, labor markets, continue to have low unemployment, good job growth. So, we're not seeing kind of these signs that would point to a recession anywhere on the horizon. We're not seeing anything pointing to significant growth. So all of that kind of points to this sort of bump along, somewhat stable environment for short-term rates. I'll sort of jump here. Going back to over the course of 2019, short-term rates have come down substantially, and that has added to the value of the securities you hold. But as we're reinvesting the portfolio, we're continuing to see declining yield levels on the portfolio. So it's slowly trending down. So we have cautioned staff and others that the earnings that you saw last year sort of bring your expectations down for next year and going forward again until we get through the end of 2020. So with that, I'll end kind of noting that we continue to be in compliance for the portfolio. We just went through kind of our annual investing period for the new property taxes that have come in. Around that time, we kind of rebalance the portfolio, work with staff on cash flow expectations, and then do some reallocations based on that. We're going to spend sort of the next few months doing a deeper dive on some of your individual funds to see if there's any tweaking that we need to do in the investment program. And to the extent, that analysis yields any results, we'll be back at you with some additional recommendations. But that's kind of the report for the quarter.
Very good. Board, is there any questions? Start with questions, actually. A question?
No, I don't. I have a comment. I say it every time you come, but thank you. I always want you to know that this board appreciates you taking the time to come here and to share the information with us. And I feel like I say it every single time. There are times like this that there are no questions because there's simplicity in the presentation and in where we're positioned. But know that I certainly, and I think we certainly always value the fact that you take the time to be here and share this with us. So thank you.
Well, thankk you.
And Mr. Thacker?
I, too, just want to thank you, Richard, and I thought maybe we could talk about Cougarans and investments
Again?
in Cougarans.
Do people invest in that still?
No,
One
of your colleagues asked
Board
about
members
that.
want to invest in gold or okay.
Buy some Bitcoin, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Cryptocurrency, yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Well done. All right, so we do have information updating the board on the monthly health plan report. There's no one speaking. And we discussed that in the workshop, and we also discussed the Center for Employee Health. And so that brings us, board,
Move.
two items. The first one on the agenda is
Move for
13.01.
approval for 13.001 as amended in the agenda modifications to remove the extension for St. Cloud Prep out of there.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve item 13.01 as amended by Mr. Thacker, second by Mr. Weissier. Board, any discussion before we take a vote? All right, hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the vote passed 5-0. That brings us to facilities, item 14.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 14.03.
Second.
All right, and so the motion is to approve item 14.03, which are all the regular items under the facilities by Mr. Ricky Booth, second by Ms. Terry Castillo. Board, are there any discussions before we take a vote? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
None? Okay, hearing no one opposed, the vote passes 5-0. That takes us to item number 15.
No comments.
Item number 16, Superintendent.
Nothing, sir.
Item 17, there is no unfinished business. There is no new business. There are board member comments. Mr. Booth, I'll let you go first.
You want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So board, just because I'm involved in high school athletics, as my children are, I have been, and then I've got some calls last week about a situation out at one of our high schools where they had trouble getting some vans and whatnot. So I reached out to Mr. Adams. I reached out to a couple of our athletic directors. I reached out to Mr. Creech with transportation. We now, because of our buses running much better for us, much more efficient, because we have the staggered start times and we use less buses. But that means that there's essentially no buses and no drivers available for athletic transportation, or no bus drivers. I think we have plenty of buses because we've reduced the number of routes, and so we have some buses that aren't being used. Nonetheless, we have a lot of our schools, including my daughter played basketball this year at Harmony High School. They had to, when they went to Mount Dora, they had to rent a charter bus. When they went to Celebration and Liberty, they did not get transportation provided. When they, anytime they went out of town, and they had to rent a charter bus. And I guess some folks are renting vans. I guess it's easier at some high schools than it is at other high schools. And on and on and on. I wanted to see if there was a way that what we could do to solve this issue. I remember I grew up the son of a coach at Osceola High School when my dad was a wrestling coach and a football coach. I rode many a nights on a bus to Oviedo and to Bishop Moore and all these other places with my dad because he was driving the bus and he was also the wrestling coach. I know there's some few things here and there, the new rules and blah, 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 which we can probably hopefully work through, that prevent some of that from happening now. But I think, Board, that we can get there. I'd like to invite Mr. Adams up. The best part about adding this to agenda at the end is that Mr. Adams had to stay for the entire meeting, and so I'm glad for that.
I didn't know he was going to do this.
But I did. I did. I had reached out to Mr. Adams because I believe, Board, that there has to be a better, less expensive option than for a girls' basketball team at Harmony having to rent a charter bus to go to Mount Dora. I just have to think there's cheaper options out there. And so why not I don't think we have all the answers yet, but why don't we explore those and see if we can come up with something? Was it? I think you guys, Ryan's doing a good job, Arby's doing a good job. This isn't a knock on anybody.
Ryan,
Did you leave anything for Ryan to say?
No,
You just wanted me to come up here and.
What are your thoughts, Ryan?
just to educate the board a little bit and also our community, and certainly this comes with the support of Mr. Adams, and you speak up whenever you want to. We batted this discussion around back when I was here in my prior role as the deputy superintendent. We talked about providing training to some of our coaches who might want to drive the bus. We could potentially leave a bus at the campus. It could be there for their disposal, that kind of stuff. And it never came to fruition, and I think probably for a couple of reasons. To be a CDL driver for our school buses as a coach to take transportation, there's a 40-hour training that's required. It's about 2 weeks, which we could provide during the summer, and RB does that on an ongoing basis, but there would have to be payment for them. It requires 8 hours of training each year to keep the CDL license with the S and there's an S and another kind of endorsement. Passenger and S endorsement. They also are subject to random drug testing, just like our regular bus drivers. and they would have to have a clean driving record for the past 3 years.
I wouldn't even be able to drive a bus. All right,
So that's an option. The other concern that Mr. Adams and Mr. Creech and Mr. Shater have talked to me about is that we're kind of winding down in terms of really having spare buses that we believe are reliable on the road, both for maintenance and those that are not being used on a regular basis do not have air conditioning. So that's another piece about the buses that we have. We have some, we could make it work. What we have already done, we're out for bid currently, waiting on the ITB process to finish, is to purchase 12 vans. They're 7-passenger vans, so it could be 1 adult and 6 students could ride. So for smaller teams, like for example, a varsity basketball team, could take 2 of the vans. A golf team, a tennis team, those smaller teams is what we're trying to look at, and potentially also using something like that to relieve some of the pressures of our dual enrollment stuff during the day. But, we'll continue to try to work with it. Mr. Adams can talk with the ADs at his next meeting about interest. And if there's enough interest, we'll get him into a training this summer and park a bus and see how it works. It's not as simple as it sounds when we get right down to, do we have somebody who wants to do it? There also has to be an understanding that if the basketball coach is the basketball coach and receiving a supplement for the basketball coach, we can't pay them additionally to drive the basketball team to wherever they're going. It's an additional responsibility that they take on. In high school, our basketball coach drove the bus all the time. Cheerleaders sat in the front, players sat in the back. So, it has been done, it can be done. It's just there's some logistical things that don't make it as simple as it sounds.
And that's all I asked. I know when I first spoke with Mr. Adams' board that I think that he knew yet that RB was doing the training, and so I know his plate is full and there's some things going on. So I think it's time to just bring the superintendent staff, the athletic staff, the transportation staff all together to say let's solve this. I would say the only pushback I'd have on the buses, which I think the buses are great, or the vans, excuse me, is a great idea. Is that, most of the time if you're traveling with a team of some sort, golf, I get out, or whatever, you're going to have more than 6 kids. And even the basketball team, I'll give you a great example why that wouldn't have worked. Most of the time they travel with their JV team, and so it's about 20 girls. So even if you had 2 vans, you don't have enough space. You really, I think, need a bus on these campuses and endorsed drivers to be able to solve this issue. I like the vans. I'm glad to have them because I think they solve some other problems, as you said. And they're smaller teams, and that's great. But I'd really like to continue this conversation on the bus issue and see if we can get a bus at these schools with some endorsed drivers moving forward, if there's a willingness to do that by our coaches, which from my kind of anecdotal research, I believe there is.
Mr. Weissier.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Booth. Superintendent, my only comment on this is compliance and cost. Those are the 2 biggest things for me, and so I will yield to you and your team to review this and to talk with the board members individually or collectively. Conceptually, I'm okay, but we have little dollars to spend in a lot of places. And if ultimately I'm going to be forced to make a decision on prioritization, I may not lean in this direction. I may go another direction based on the limited resources we have. But I want to see the information first.
Can I just say real quick, the reason I brought this up was a cost-saving measure because I have to believe that it would be cheaper, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, to have these buses on site and get these drivers trained than it would be to rent a charter bus every time we have a team. Maybe it's not after all the training and the maintenance and the bus and da-da-da. I get that.
There are a lot of factors that definitely go into having a bus.
That's kind of a cost analysis, and we talked about that the other day.
We did.
And so
we'll be happy to continue to look into it and
so I
find that
appreciate
information.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. How's it?
All right. No, that would
come up with something else if you want.
No, thank you.
Actually, what I'm going to, what I wanted to bring to the board and during my comments section, touches upon that. So here's the thing. Now, board, I tell you, I noticed and I feel confident to say that we really do enjoy the student input that we get, during these meetings. It is rare, but as it happens, I see the reaction and I think it's well received. So one of the things that I want to invite the board to do is to make use of this board member comment. Here's what I'm suggesting, besides issues like what Mr. Booth just brought up, which is an important thing to get a discussion going. Same thing that I did last time, talking about the flex schedule idea. But what I really found out is that I really enjoy the input from our students. And so what I wanted to do this board meeting, but I was just a little bit too late and the agenda was posted, was to announce to the community that I wanted to discuss these two apps that I thought that were very educational. But had I been able to put them on the board agenda, then I would have been able to go ahead and say, you know, to the student representative and maybe to some, you know, maybe to some of the student groups, hey, do you want to come and participate in a discussion with the board about this topic? And it doesn't have to be mine. I mean, you could also think of a topic that you want student input about something you feel is educational and get some you know, and just get some interaction. But it's amazing what we learn, you know, from our students who have a different perspective that, you know, are being young in a different era than when we were. So anyway, so I would encourage that. I'm going to try to look and see what I'm going to put in for the next agenda. Again,
What are the apps?
the idea is to get the student representative and students that want to come an opportunity to have this discussion here in the setting.
Like the app, is the app like the?
I have two apps.
Oh, so
And I didn't get a chance to share it, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce them.
We're sitting on pins and needles.
All right. So the first app, guys, this is going to be shorter than what Ricky Booth just went over. A lot more fun. Listen.
I like athletic transportation.
I know it's a stimulating subject. Now,
You just found out about TikTok. Is that what you're?
I'm not promoting TikTok.
Are you going to do a TikTok?
I'm actually
video
against that.
before we leave? I'll film it.
No, the first app is actually called Informable, and this is an app. This is an app that is designed. It's an educational app. It's designed to help people spot ads, distinguish news from opinion, detect faulty evidence, identify fact-based and opinion-based statements. And here's what it is. I actually tried it out. I went deep into it. It has a lot of lessons. And I'll tell you something. As an avid reader, who, you know, I'm always looking. I curate content from major news publications, just to say, and I also blog. I mean, I'll tell you, I learned from this app. I thought it was really, really instructive, and I wanted to share it with our students. It's called Informable. Did you have an opportunity to look at it, Ms. Williams? Before I go on.
Yes, he is. So I'm gonna be honest. I was not a fan of Informable, just because.
That's okay. Maybe she knows more than I do.
You guys, like, told you the students are so smarter than we are.
I know they are.
They know what meme I'm talking about.
Wait, can we get her commentary as to what she?
Just because I felt like as a school app, it was a little controversial, and I get, like, you know, you always want to open up discussion, critical thinking, but I don't know, in a school setting, on my own time, the app actually was kind of amusing. It's definitely not something I think I would go on, like, in my free time. I kind of just did it because you introduced it to me, but in a school setting, I don't think, I just would be like, I don't understand why we would use this app.
What was your initial?
I'm not a fan of it.
Oh, okay. I just want to
Yes,
hear
it just
Hey, I haven't had feedback from anybody, you know, younger than Kelvin.
yes, that one.
I haven't discussed it with anyone.
Like, it does open up discussion about certain topics, but at the same time, it's just a little. No,
It's more. It's
Yeah.
to it.
it is. I think it is a good educational outlet. Maybe if someone was like in a debate class or something, and they needed the information, like maybe as a
So
source.
it has its place, maybe.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't mean it to be like a teaching tool for teachers. I actually meant for this to be for a student that's self-motivated and wants to go ahead and say, you know what, maybe I could learn something from this.
Yeah, it
I
could be
wouldn't
used.
mandate it for anyone. You know, but I you know, I thought that I learned from it, so I wanted to share that.
But again, for the record, not a fan.
Well, then again,
Could have used a better word.
what was it?
No, that was perfect.
That's all right.
No, I love it.
Mr. Soto, it only has 4.2 out of 5 ratings. So we're going to request nothing less than a 4.5 rating when you bring
I didn't.
recommendations.
You know what?
What's the second one?
What's the second?
I didn't realize that. The second app, actually, I've been using it for about a year.
Oh boy.
Oh, man.
Can I say something about the?
Before you crash it and destroy it, I've been using it for about a year.
Please.
And you know what? A lot of people like to play Candy Crush. I like to draw polygons with a compass and you know, and a ruler. So, anyways, the app is called Euclidia, and basically it's really interesting because it is an electronic digital way to construct, you know, multiple-sided polygons using ruler and a compass, the way the ancient Greeks did it.
What's
You
the
read
name
that
of the app again?
Euclidia. So, what is your opinion on that one?
This one's like a 50-50. If I was a freshman still taking geometry, I would have liked the app, but right now don't need it, so I probably wouldn't use it. Yeah, but I did like that it lets you construct on your own mind. I saw that you had like that platform to kind of do whatever, but like I said, if I wasn't taking geometry, I probably wouldn't be using it. I know, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
Mr. Senator, there's a really good app called ESPN.
All right, so for future reference board, I hope to get these things into the agenda before, but if any one of you have a suggestion that you want the student to comment on that's education in nation and you want to share, I would encourage you to go ahead and submit that, and so that we could have these discussions at the end of the meeting, and hopefully it'll be fun and a nice way, you know, to close it out, you know. And like I said, I know we enjoy student.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. No, I actually
involvement.
appreciate your discussions always. Always bringing something forward.
Okay, I'll choose to believe that.
I do too sometimes.
I'll choose to believe that. So, board, is there anything further?
Is it
Miss?
your last meeting?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
The floor is yours.
I know you guys are going to miss me. I'm going to miss you guys. But I just want to put it out there. It's not going to be the last time you guys see me. I will be staying in touch, and I'll be attending more meetings. What am I supposed to say?
Did you learn something awesome?
Yes. I actually want to say thank you for that.
Very self-serving board.
Yes. And actually, yes, I do want to thank you for that. Also, because we have some seniors in here who might not even know that we did get to decorate our graduation caps from this point on. Yes, as long as it's appropriate.
Nobody's drawing Kodak Black on top of one. I see, already messed his idea up.
But I just want to say thank you because I kind of threw her on the spot the first time I introduced the idea to her, and she was so positive about it, and she got right back with me in like the same week, and she's been back and forth with me in email and in person about it. So thank you so much, and I know the senior class and are going to be so excited about it. But for the past 3 meetings, I've learned a lot. And I've enjoyed my time here, but I want to brag about myself for like a couple seconds. So, and going back to the idea of SWAT, so I actually serve as the vice president for the entire state of Florida for Students Working Against Tobacco, and that has led me to also become a national youth ambassador for the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. So I've spent like 3 trips this school year in D.C. Learning about advocacy work and also speaking with representatives and senators in D.C., not just in Tallahassee, to help implement policies not only in our county but also in our state to keep our generation safe. And like I said earlier, I'm really excited to work with you guys to implement these policies, especially before I graduate. But I'm very confident to be leaving SWAT in the hands of good students because I know they're going to do just as great things as I did. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Mr. Thacker? Mr. Thacker?
I just want good luck to you, and your generation will be fine with people like you.
Ms. Williams, it's been delightful. Thank you for your participation and for, of course, you know, for your input.
Big round of applause for being a good politician. Easy to brag about yourself.
Yeah,
you did a great job of bragging about
Thank
yourself.
you.
There's
All right.
hope for the future.
So, board, we have an executive session coming up. With y'all permission, I will recess so that we could begin.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Yes, we should, especially since I